Hello, hello everyone from welcome to AudioLink from VR Chat here, and I'm just glad that vgmtogether was able to have us out. This is Making Waves in VR, kind of the backstory of AudioLink. I'm Charles, and
Hi, I'm Leah, and we created AudioLink with the help of many other people in the community. So we're going to give you a little bit of a tour of the system, talk a little bit about the backstory, and then kind of talk about how it went through VR Chat and kind of give you a little tour. So here we go.
Yeah, I guess, did you want to do the, I don't know, I guess we can go back out in the room.
Yeah, let's go over here. Do you want to get the camera?
Yes, I will. I gotta reset it. There we go. Okay. And okay, the camera is going.
Alrighty. So this is the new AudioLink world that we're building. It is primarily just built to be a showcase of all the great stuff that the community has made, and it also has in it some of the highlights of backstory and kind of the tech. It's kind of a tech demo world, and it's also supposed to be very interactive and fun, so we can start our tour. Do you want to go down to the first wall here, and
Yep.
we can go. So originally AudioLink was a concept that was just me packaging up a simple audio reactive light effect that I had built using Unity for a friend's club world, and they wanted to see how I did it, so I was packaging it up and decided, this would be pretty good as a prefab. So in VR Chat there's these things called prefabs, which they're prefabricated systems that you can use and just drop into your file, and basically just you get running really fast with a lot of cool features. So I thought audio reactivity was something that needed to be added to the list of prefabs, the wonderful prefabs that make up VR Chat community. And so as I got to building it, I showed it at a community meetup, and people were very excited about it. And one person, Colonel Cthulhu, actually recommended, is this possible that we could put this on avatars? Because essentially what AudioLink does is it takes audio signal in the world, analyzes it, and then creates a data set that can be used by the GPU to display effects and other cool stuff. So Colonel Cthulhu said, can we do this for avatars as well? And I believe it was Mochi who was at the community meetup and said, yeah, I think there's a way that we can do that. And that kind of was one of the huge turning points of the whole project, I think, because it got everyone excited about making audio reactive avatars too, because it's very cool to have an audio reactive world, but to have avatars also reacting is a whole other level. So in short order, we threw something together with the help of a lot of other community members, and basically came out with AudioLink 1.0, which is kind of shown here, which is a very basic setup. So AudioLink 1.0 was just
The stream's
sensing the bass, the low mids, the high mids, and the treble. And it basically functions as a trigger effect with a histograph of the data. So you can have something that kind of flows after the trigger. And that was kind of my original vision for AudioLink. And it all grew out from that. So once the system was starting to become popularized, I met Cianlar, and it was really kind of just ramping up. And do you wanna talk a little bit about when we met at Pose Nightclub?
So for me, when I heard about this, I was just like, okay, this is insane. A huge part of VR chat is the customizability of people's avatars and being able to do everything from just like the model and the textures to also the shaders that run on the avatar, giving like a huge degree of freedom and like customizability. When I found out, and I had no idea this was even possible, that information could flow from audio into things that anything in the world, avatars, aspects of the world, there's all sorts of effects you can even notice here, like to some degree the stars in the background and like the wall here, where all of this can react, and it just blew my mind. So I was like, okay, whatever happens, I want to get it on the ground floor of this. And thankfully, it all kind of worked out. So while we started with just the little texture right here, which provided what I guess like probably 80 or 90% of everybody needs, I don't know, I'm glad that we've been able to expand a lot since then. And also, I guess, because I already have a background in audio DSP, like I was even able to improve the quality of like what was there already.
Unfortunately, that is not
right. A big part of what Charles did, when I met Charles, I was using Unity's get spectrum data function, which is primarily computational CPU stuff, and Charles was kind of a shader expert, and that was very new to me. And he kind of theorized that we could include his project Color Chord, which had a lot of DSP built into it already, and essentially combine the two. Do you want to go over to the Color Chord area? So yeah, essentially combining the two projects and making AudioLink run on the GPU instead of the CPU, which gave us lots of new features, including this is the correlator by Locks, and this kind of, I don't know if you want to describe what this is.
I think like waveforms themselves kind of look messy if you've ever seen a waveform, where it's like there's no necessarily clear beginning and end and the phase gets all muddled. But it turns out if you take a frequency analysis of an incoming waveform and then you effectively decompose it back into a waveform, you can end up having some really neat visualizations. And so this is kind of combining several of the different features that we do. So I guess like one of the major points of AudioLink is that maybe some games have some basic principles to do audio reactivity that could be based on like volume or even different bands. But for stuff like AudioLink, we now do it on to a much deeper degree than most games would normally do, and even like music visualizers. And all of this is then run inside of the world and available to all of the effects inside of that world.
Right. And the key takeaway from the tech side of it is that it's all run on the GPU. So it's extremely fast computationally. It's a very low overhead. And that allows us to do some really cool stuff with shaders, especially because shaders are naturally what, display across the polygon and tells your screen how to display something. And that is all done on the GPU. So we keep all the computation on the GPU, which frees up the CPU, and you get a very performant audio reactive effect in VR chat and beyond too.
Yeah, let's
So-
oh, go.
You go ahead.
Okay. Are you up for going back up there, and we can at least have some of the folks that have joined us today to be able to kind of describe what they were working on? Okay.
Sure. That sounds great.
One of my best friend through high school. First year being 19. They're coming.
Okay, so these are just some of our friends that have added AudioLink to their avatars. Some to lesser degree than others, and some to more. Madman here was able to actually kind of write a lot of their own shader to be able to hook that up to their avatar. You might want to turn up the sensitivity a little bit, or maybe the next track.
It unfortunately got quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the
Just
lead out.
quiet.
Yeah.
This is what always happens when you're testing AudioLink stuff and you want to see something. You that's when there's no bass. It's just always that's when everything stops in the music.
Yeah. So Madman here has sort of some of the color chord features and kind of interleaved with other effects. So you can mix and match a lot of the sort of visual effects together and use several of the different audio components, different aspects of the audio waveform and volume and bands in order to generate some of the effects. Like here, how Madman has it so that primarily the colors are selected by color chord, but the visual effects are primarily off of what the original Udon AudioLink V1 did with just the history. Did you want to talk about yours? I'm not as familiar with yours, Topper.
Oh, mine's pretty basic. I'm just using Poyomi's implementation that they have in Poyomi 8.1. So a lot of decals, a lot of just I think the exact terminology that you just used is the history of it. I don't use color chords. I've tried it though. It looks really cool. My avatar just isn't set up for it.
Trying to see, you have swing on the back, right? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, you can even do things like change the shape. It's not just lighting, and so that was. I guess we have some of the effects elsewhere on the map that can kind of show some of that off. Yeah. Did you want to go now?
Sure. Yeah, I've had this earband on my ear for a long time, and when AudioLink came out, I added support to the shader myself, and I'm sampling the DFT and boosting color channels depending on the beat detection in different frequencies. So red, green, and blue will all get boosted differently depending on the beat detection at that moment.
That's one thing to note. We don't use an FFT. Instead, we use a DFT. A lot of people, when trying to do this, use FFTs. But for the way in which humans perceive sound, FFTs are particularly poor, whereas discrete Fourier transforms or constant Q transforms are actually much better at being able to decompose sound. So if you're ever looking to do kind of your own visual effects with audio, in general, you'll find that you probably will get better results from a DFT or constant Q filter than a normal FFT. Did you want to talk about yours, TCL, a little bit?
Sure. It's not that complex. It's feeding the intensity into the four different frequency bands to control which octave of procedural 4D Voronoi noise is being shown, and then feeding in time as the fourth dimension to make it vary, and then also using chronotensity to make it more dynamic. So as the music's changing more or having more of a particular band, it'll change the noise pattern.
All right. Did you want to show off? I guess we could do a few more of the effects, and I guess we'd also talk about some of how people are using it outside of VR chat. Maybe let's go down to the effects and then go.
Let's maybe while we're up here we can show the pens.
Oh, the pens, yeah. So within Unity, there's different types of rendering things. Some are just on solid geometry, but others can be done with trail renders, And for instance, these are just pens that each one has a different visual effect associated with it. And these have tail renderers on them. So what they can do is Leia here can go draw, and the drawing of that pen can now be audio reactive as well. So what you'll find is many of the worlds inside of VR Chat will include just some pens and then enable people to draw and be able to see sort of interesting visual effects and be able to make the world, like that specific of the instance of the world, something that's more interesting than just the world would be on its own. So unfortunately, when Leia lets go, it's going to blink out of existence briefly, but then we'll be able to see this after it's been complete and synchronized to everybody else in the instance. But yeah, these pens idea was by Smew, and Smew's written most of the shaders and the effects for this. And I don't know, I think it's just really neat what Smew's been doing to add prefabs, just things that anybody can have for the world. For their world, and make them public so that anybody could use them.
Might be nice to bring the camera inside this dome. It's quite a nice effect.
Oh yeah, one other note is the sky and even the aurora are all audio reactive in this world. Okay. Oh, and there's, here we have audio reactive poi as well. So all of these effects are things that people can add to their worlds for free. So all of the stuff on this map here is all open source. So all of the contributions people have been making, for the most part, have all been open source back to AudioLink. There are some commercial shaders that people use, and that's completely fine. So like what we'll talk about in a moment is just the availability and the use of AudioLink outside of specifically VR Chat. But one of the things that we did is we made sure that we used either CC0 or the MIT X11 license for all of our work, so that like different games and other projects can implement and utilize AudioLink without having to worry about sort of any legal boundaries or any sort of concern from any remuneration or anything like that. It's all open source and all completely free.
This is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go.
The pens add a lot to the world.
That they do.
So a lot of the pens are by Smew, actually. We linked up a few weeks back, and they were so gracious and contributed a good deal of these pens that you see. So yeah, check their really cool pen world out by Smew. Yeah.
Actually, let's take the break right now, and not break, but let's go. I'm going to switch to my desktop, and I'm going to show and describe some of the other projects that are using AudioLink. So give me just a moment.
Great.
So one of the fun things with AudioLink is that it's all done in Unity, and so anything with it's done in Unity as well can use AudioLink. And there are already mods for Beat Saber where people will have it hooked up to their avatar. So you can see Taune here has it hooked up to the shoulder parts of their avatar. So it's their avatar, even though it's Beat Saber, totally unrelated to VR Chat, is then able to have audio reactivity. Another example of, again in Beat Saber, is, give me a moment here. Is inside of the worlds inside of Beat Saber, the worlds themselves can now utilize AudioLink. So this is just an example of where the background is being affected by the sound that's happening inside of Beat Saber in order to sort of create this crazy visual effect. There's a couple other ones as well. See if I can find... Yeah, so different visual effects can then be using AudioLink as long as it's a Unity project and it's using Unity 3D under the hood. It's able to speak the same languages and the same shader languages and be able to use AudioLink. The other thing I wanted to mention was that there are a lot of worlds inside of VRChat which utilize like AudioLink, and so like one of them is Audio Orbs, and this is just a really neat sort of audio experience. And what they did is they dropped in the AudioLink prefab into this world and were able to author some new shaders for their visual effect here. And then one of the last ones I wanted to bring up was,
find nothing but a unique and comfortable experience.
Was Thousand Faces. Made this audio reactive forest where enormous amounts of the world are audio reactive, and all the way down to sort of like the shapes that things make and the motion that things have are all audio reactive. And then yeah, just people are doing different interesting things in Unity, and this is from Orals 1. I think this is a remarching example where the effects are changed based on the audio reactivity. Okay. And let's go back into the game here. Give me a second to get this set back up.
Iron Biscuit suggested that I put it all on a different computer, but it's such a pain for the way I want to do my setup, and I have CPU power to spare. It's fine.
Okay, guys. I finished that
Well, good
part.
luck.
Did you want to go down to the lower level layout?
All right. Sure. Let's head on down.
Hi.
Nothing but the damage you made. I'm not gonna leave it. I like that I'm abstract on made. I'm not gonna leave it. And then on your shoulder.
So these are just some examples that we include with the AudioLink package. And this floor of the world is still very much a work in progress, so bear with us. It's just kind of a really rough-in generalization of what you can do. And these examples are meant to be easy to understand when you're actually looking at the files in AudioLink, so that if you're wondering like, how do I use AudioLink? How do I what's the code that I have to type, or let me see some examples to use. These are some of the examples. So starting out here. Oh, Charles?
Give me a second. I'm trying to pull up the. I will in a moment have the
cool.
code pulled up. But yeah, you can start talking,
Oh,
and then I'll
great.
show that in a moment. The documentation. Okay, go for it.
Great. So this is our filtered view, right? This is
Yep.
so this has peak detection, and basically what this does is it looks at the overall amplitude of the audio, and so if you want to have a VU meter that kind of moves like this, you could use this data right here, and then sometimes when you have like a VU meter with like several LEDs and it shows like the top level, you could use that if you're like modeling, say, like a DJ mixer in VR. You could make something that looks very true to life and responsive using these data sets. That's what the filtered view is for. So chronotensity is one of your really cool concoctions.
So if you take a look at the different wheels that are spinning around here, different effects may have different effects, if you are authoring different effects, you may want to use audio data in different ways. So for instance, you may want to be able to have something that progresses forward only when the beat hits, or something where when the beat hits, it freezes and it normally progresses forward. Or you may want it more or less reactive. So we have this little visualization here that shows how these angles can change based on different effects on the audio. So if you were, say, writing a shader and you wanted to be able to use one of these effects in an effect for a game, you can just kind of look at this and be like, oh, I want that variable to affect some visual aspect of the world that I'm trying to create, or the game I'm trying to create. And then that also is used here, I believe. Yeah. So this is just using another visual effect and using chronotensity to help decide how this should get rendered. Oh, and then...
Yeah, so chronotensity... Oh,
Go.
If I wanted to mention, like, the use case for chronotensity is really cool when you have an object that's kind of rotating and you want it to, like, incrementally rotate every time there's a detected, like, triggered, like, threshold of amplitude within one of the 4 bands of audio with bass, mid-bass, or highs or whatever. So yeah, you can make things pulse and rotate, or yeah, like he was saying, you can have things return back to center or continue to rotate ad infinitum. So we've got all of this, all of these functions kind of outlined in the shader code, and yeah, so this is a really good representation of all those different possibilities that you could use to make an object kind of come alive. And rather than always returning back to the same point, it's kind of like having a more of a life of its own. I think that's like what makes chronotensity really cool.
Yeah, there's just some effects where if it's just like a beat that goes up and down, you can only go so far with that, whereas you can do even more interesting things if you keep information over a longer period of time. I think one of the things I wanted to mention was, like, my background for a lot of color chord and DSP design was in, like, real life visual effects. And when COVID hit last year, I just spent all my time in VR chat, and it was, I don't know, it was almost more fun to make the things inside of the virtual world instead of the real world for doing the music visualization and stuff like that, because it was something that I could just go pop on and share with my friends, like, right then and there. And that was just, I don't know, that was just hugely fun to be able to go, like, create something, show it to my friends right then, and then have it available to the rest of the world. This effect here is, well, okay. Normally with computers, it takes a lot of effort to, like, synchronize something. So if you want to be able to have two things in sync, you have to go share their state over the internet so that everybody stays in sync. You have to, like, subtract out the ping times, all that. But one of the kind of fun things is you don't need to do that if you know exactly what time it is. And AudioLink provides really accurate timing for everybody in an instance so that they can all see the same thing at the same time to give an added shared presence. So this little effect right here, without me sending any data to Leia or vice versa, this effect is now synchronized between us. So, like, if I'm pointing at it, like, we can both kind of see that even though we're not synchronizing any information, it just automatically is synchronized. So let's see, do we get the corner? Oh, we don't get the corner. Oh. Leigh had mentioned
this was a point in the development that where, so we have this texture that contains all of the AudioLink data, and there's, you can think of it like real estate basically, and we started to think, like, well, what else should we put in here, right? And, like, what other parts of data should we add to this system to make easily available? So this was one of the heralding developments of that, I think.
We'd mentioned earlier about it all being on the GPU. And so these visual effects here, like this here, all of the motion that you see with the speakers or with this thing right here, all of this is being done without involving like the CPU part of your computer. It can all be done entirely on the GPU, where the data can just manipulate the world around you. And it can do so in a way that it's kind of shared between everybody in that virtual world. And then these are just some more basic examples. So all of these examples are on the website. I'll actually pull that up right now. So with AudioLink, we spent an enormous amount of effort trying to make sure that we would be able to have everything as well documented as we could, and we wanted to make sure that we had reverse compatibility as far as we could, so that there'd be no issue with, say, a world using a newer version, but your avatar was only built with an older version. And all this actually is, all of what we've been describing is this really simple 128 pixel by 64 pixel texture. And we sort of go through all of the different features that it has and example code on how to use it. So even if you're just beginning in shaders, we try to provide enough really basic examples for you to be able to use the visual effects here. So that's the main docs, but then, and if I remember right, where was that? Maybe it was docs? Well, regardless, all of the examples that are being shown here inside of the world that we've been showing so far are all on the website here. I believe it's under the main. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. Let's also go back into that. Okay. So all of these are still available on the website. I just don't have the link handy right now. But one of the things we wanted to mention was VRChat is also not the only metaverse, in air quotes, there is, but there's also other popular ones, and some of them are also done in Unity. So for instance, Chill Out VR is one of those, and Chill Out VR is a lot like VRChat, and people have already made it so that people can import AudioLink into their worlds in Chill Out VR as well.
Yep.
Anything else you can think of from here? I think we have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I think, well, there was, so you're starting to talk about how it's being used outside of VRChat. Mm-hmm. And it's now, been ported via a mod for Beat Saber as well. So people are now using AudioLink to create like audio reactive backgrounds and avatars and mods in Beat Saber, which is really exciting because that's already a really awesome game. But to add that audio reactive like real-time element, it looks really cool. It's basically like it kind of harkens back to the like Linux style visualizer. And then also I believe that AudioLink is available in BoneLab as well.
I know. Oh, I wasn't aware if we could actually announce that or not yet. I think we can though. But yeah, I think yeah. Actually, no, it is because of the mods. Yes, that's true. So AudioLink is in BoneLab. There's an go.
And then just today, actually, we were contacted by Boombox VR, which is an indie game developer creating a game that's kind of like slash the incoming spheres, and it looks very cool, and it's done by indie developers. So they want to also include AudioLink. So it is absolutely taking off outside of VRChat as well, which is very exciting. And that is, I think, kind of going to be one of our core tenements of this project is to keep it as open as possible, as free as possible, as usable and approachable as we can possibly make it. Because it's just a lot of fun and it looks really cool, and you know, it shouldn't have to cost money. It shouldn't have to have licensing issues. If you wanted to use this system elsewhere in VR or outside of VR even,
Yeah.
I think that's like really exciting, and I'm really happy that I met you, and you're such a proponent of that kind of development, which it's been a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah, and while we're kind of the two people, well, okay, I guess Leia first, me second, both 3 and Pema have really been hugely helpful in this project with regards to the amount of work that they put in. At this point, like, I wonder if, like, I feel like Pema may be even putting in more work than I have overall, so... Yeah, it's been just a project that has been growing and growing and growing, and I really really enjoyed all of this.
It's truly a community project at this point.
Yeah.
There have been so many submissions and hard work by developers, both inside
VRChat
and general users of VRChat and outside of VRChat. At this point, it's hard to call it any one person's project. It is definitely a community project. That's very exciting. And I would very much like to keep it that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. So yeah, if you're somebody who has a great deal of interest or otherwise some specific interest with regards to game development and making stuff that's audio reactive, feel free to reach out to us on our Discord, or to reach out to us by actually, I guess the Discord is really the only way that we can easily communicate, but feel free to use AudioLink in whatever project it is that you're hoping to do that would need some audio reactivity. I think somebody else just joined. Can we hop up there real quick and check it out?
Sure. Let's go.
Sacred.
Hello.
You have AudioLink on you, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right down.
Color cord on this one.
Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
I mean, yeah, I can a little bit. So it's been a little while since I'm working on it. Pretty sure on the arms I'm doing like an autocorrelator, so like different parts of the strip are like different frequencies. And then on the leg, I'm also doing the history thing. So essentially, they like stream down from the top of the side here, and they just kind of stream down. And again, different colors map to different frequencies because color cord. And then I'm doing kind of like a fake glow kind of thing, by using like kind of like a diffused mask for it. So it looks pretty nice. Don't need to like rely on bloom or anything. But yeah, and I got like the non-RGB mode as well. So like the razor green mode. Yeah, fun stuff.
Neat. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I know it's maybe 3 minutes early, but thank you everybody at VGM Together for having us and for coming out. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your event. And just wanted to say goodbye.
Yeah. Have a great day. Thanks for having us.
Bye.